Alright, now we will discuss an electrical fire in flight. Now there's no way in the simulator that I can create an electrical fire, so to speak, that we can actually see smoke or flames. So we'll simply have to simulate it to simply talk about it. So do a what if. Now if you have an electrical fire, there is smoke coming out of the avionics, of the instruments, out of the panel. You have an electrical odor, like a burnt cable. So you're sure that you have an electrical fire. Then it's important to shut down the electrical system at once. And to do that, switch off the master switch. And then switch off all other switches, except of course for the ignition switch. Where the good thing with an electrical fire or failure is that the engine still keeps running. At least in this, well, I'd say traditional engine. There are of course also airplanes where if you lose all electrical power, this will also affect the engine. But not in this airplane. So then make sure that your cabin vents and the cabin heat is off, closed. If you really need to use the fire extinguisher, however, after discharging it, you have to ventilate the cabin. And then, if and only if the fire is really out, or you're sure that it's out and you really need electrical power for the remainder of the flight, only then check the circuit breakers first, but do not reset any circuit breaker. Switch the master switch back on and then use one switch at a time to switch on all those things that you need. And if the fire continues with one of these switches, of course switch it off immediately, then you have found the source of the fire. But if it's possible at all, don't switch the electrical system back on and land as soon as possible. Even more so, of course, if the fire continues. If the fire is definitely out, okay, you can continue to the next airfield if it's closed. But if there's any doubt, or if there's any doubt that the fire is out, or it's obviously not out, it's best to do a precautionary landing to a field just at your position, near to your position. Okay, so let's suppose we would have an electrical fire now. So, first thing we do is we'll switch off the master switch. You can see the engine is still running perfectly, so it doesn't affect it at all. So there's no real rush now in terms of having an emergency field, but it could get a factor quickly if the fire doesn't go out. So, all other switches we switch off now. Alright, just keep the ignition on, make sure cabin vent and heat is off. Now, use the fire extinguisher if you need it, but then ventilate the cabin. Now, if the fire is still burning, find a field and do a precautionary, or if the fire is still on, it's actually really an emergency landing somewhere down there. But at least you have a running engine. If the fire is out, definitely out, can continue to the next airfield. If you really need any consumers, then switch the master switch back on, check any circuit breakers but do not reset them, and then one at a time switch on the consumers you need. But normally there's not much probably that you would need, maybe the radio. Alright, this concludes this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.